this is such a very interesting conversation. Why don't we share it with our public? And let's do that right now. I'm Ben Coleman, your anchor host with the Florida Aviation Network. And live and in the clear here at the Central Florida Aerospace Academy during Sun and Fun 52, Red, White, and Blue 52. And there's so many things going on here on the campus. If you haven't been to Sun and Fun, please come. And if you have been and you weren't able to make it this year, come back. If you've been here so much and your feet are hurting and you're sunburned and you're just beat up, thanks for coming in the past, but enjoy this presentation from the comfort of your living room. Or walking around on this thing, because we're here too. Raul Salazar, Dr. Salazar. I like
nice to see you
doctor. Again. Raul, we were just having a brief conversation and these technical people interrupted our conversation. So we might as well pull them into it. But
yep.
Tell us a little bit about what you do and about your gyroplanes, gyrocopters, drones. You're just involved with an awful lot of unusual machines, but you do it so well, and you're truly an expert at it. And
Thank you.
Anytime I have a question about a gyroplane, gyrocopter, autogyro, I call you.
You call me, yeah.
I text you, I call you. You're too available to me. It's made very easy.
I spoil you now.
Yes, I am spoiled. But tell us what's going on in your world, Raul.
So I'm a CFI for gyroplanes, and one of the things that we try to do is to make sure that the pilots understand the safety part of the gyroplane, that they are trained, that they are constantly learning and being proficient, which is important. And the reason for that is because if you are a pilot that is less than 100 hours of flight time in a gyroplane, you're going to forget things, especially if you come from a fixed wing. And the issue is that you will revert to your primacy, which is fixed wing.
It is law of primacy. You'll do things the way that you practiced,
right.
The way that you learn. And you learn wrong, you're going to do it wrong.
Right.
Chances are.
Well, but also at the same time, if you have been flying fixed wing for a long time and you have a lot of hours, and now you're learning to fly this other aircraft, and you get an emergency and you are not proficient in this aircraft, what are you going to revert to? To what you learned before, fixed wing. That is not going to help you.
The autocraft, autoplane, autogyro, that's the
gyroplane. Let's call it gyroplane.
And I think that's what the standards
for
are.
The FAA, correct.
A lot of folks don't realize this, and you be right along. As a matter of fact, it happened yesterday. I had somebody in a golf cart taking them by Paradise City, and went by the gyro display, and there was one I'm flying, and you couldn't get me in one of those. Really? Why? I said, well, they're just not safe.
And that is a preconception that people have.
And I asked him, do you know what the stall speed is on that machine? He says, no. And it ain't one.
There is no one.
So you mean you can't stall those? Said, no, you might stall the disc, but you got to work really hard to stall that disc. And tell us a little bit about the disc. I mean, we have two rotor blades.
We have two rotor blades.
Retreating.
Right. We have two rotor blades, and then in any rotorcraft, we have what is called the symmetry of lift. So you have an advancing blade and a retreating blade. And depending on how fast you go, then you're going to get one blade that is going to go up because of the teeter bolt, and the other one is going to go down. By doing that, you have an equal lift, but different speed. Because if you have wind that is coming forward, and this is going, for the sake of the discussion, 100 miles per hour, well, this is going to be 100 plus 20. Let's say that the wind is 20. So this will be 120. But this one is now 100 minus 20 is 80. So it's going to get into a point in which this is going to go too high, this is going to go too low. It's going to hit the stopper, and then it's going to stall. When is that going to occur? 90 degrees.
Yep.
So now we're in a position in which we're going to get soon a blade flap, and we're going to be in trouble. We're going to become a piano.
You know, Raul, we should probably bring out the fact that this is a wings credit presentation. And by simply listening to the knowledge of this man here, the FAA is confident enough that it's worthy to be able to put it down on a piece of paper and get credit for your wings program.
Correct.
And you're pretty active with the FAA when it comes to training, are you not?
Yes. I the lead rep for the Treasure Coast for the FAHS team.
Mm-hmm.
And we used to do only probably 15 seminars and webinars a year. For the last 3 years, we have done, on the first year we did 54 because we then took over and I started doing presentation in Valkyria, Sebastian, Vero Beach, and Fort Pierce. And that makes things a little better, and we can reach a lot more people, especially the schools, especially the pilots in those schools are the student pilots that they don't understand the gyroplanes. And we have gyroplanes in all of those airports. And they think, because of the capabilities of the gyroplane, oh, that pilot is a reckless pilot. And it's not. That is the way that you fly the gyroplane, you know, coming at 400 feet or 500 feet on final. We cannot do that approach that we have on the fixed wing, because if the engine fails, I usually say that the glide ratio is 3-to-1, just to make sure that, you know, realize that people, you have to do what you need to do. Even though that in some of them you will have 1-to-4, but I rather say 3-to-1, I'm sorry, instead of 4-to-1.
And the, you know, Raul, one of the things that I learned early on about helicopters or rotor craft is, have you ever taken a bicycle on an axle and you spin it really fast and you're holding the wheel in front of you? Why is it that if you put pressure here, that it goes 90 degrees from it? Is that called precession?
Yeah, precision.
Why?
So it occurs. The effect will take effect 90 degrees after that occurred, and that is the reason in all rotorcraft that is the case. Even in drones. Even in drones.
So if you want to go forward, you input the pressure.
The input will be the same, but what happens in the mechanic, is what it does the work.
And how important is maintenance on?
Very important. One of the issues that we're trying to cover on some of the seminars and webinars that we're doing, even around the country with some of my friends, is the fact that we have individual pilots that do not follow a proper checklist for pre-flight. So they think that 15 minutes pre-flight in a gyroplane is perfect. They don't walk the rotor. You know, they don't grab the rotor and walk and check the controls or feel the binding of the bearings. And that is the reason you want to walk the rotors, because you don't want that bearing to crash or crap on you while you're flying.
Well,
because it's not going to be pretty.
And it is a piece. It's a machinery.
Yep.
It has mechanical links and a lot of bearing surfaces that require how many life-limited components? There's maybe a lot of components, but what is life-limited on your gyro plane?
Depending on the component, some of them are 250, some of them are 500, some of them are 1,000, some of them are 1,500.
So it's different levels.
Different levels of different components. The rotor head has a set of components depending on which part are you looking that you need to change according to the specifications from the manufacturer.
And again, they're recommendations in some cases, but in some cases they're not recommendations. They're hard times. Yeah,
and the majority of the kit manufacturers and the companies, the manufacturers that are selling gyroplanes already put together, they give you a piece of paper with all the inspections that you have to do and when. 25, 50, 75, 100, 120, every single one of them is in there. And some pilots will follow that. Some pilots don't do that. And there is when we have some little trouble or a lot of trouble in some cases.
Raul, the beauty part about these gyroplanes, gyroplanes, the rotor system, and some of the beauty of it is again just how nimble, and I'm not going to say they're aerobatical.
No, the thing is that they're not. You can always do an aerobatic once, only once. But the thing is that because of how agile they are and the ability for them to do really tight turns, people think that we're not following the rules and we're not doing that. So for example, let's say that we're flying the pattern and we have, like what we do in Valkyria, 7 planes. Well, because we're slow on the approach, we got to let everybody land first and then we can go behind. So one of the things that we can do on the downwind is we can go and say, hey, let me slow down almost to 0. So the plane that is turning base to final can go in front of me because I don't want to go in front of that plane.
Well, and Raul, there's some beautiful machines out there.
Yes.
And I know you brought some photographs to show us of some of these beautiful machines, and they are machines, but the aspect of how maneuverable they are is part of the design.
Yep.
And that's the beauty. And again, if you have a loss of power and an engine failure, now you have you have 2 gliders. You got a glider going forward and a glider going backward. And I guess you control the air flow through the rotor system.
If you have been trained correctly and you're has been practicing your emergencies and everything, it should be a non-event, okay? Because you're not going to lose rotor RPM. What you're going to lose is going to be the engine. So you look for a place to land. And one of the things that we can say is that if we have no wind, and we can land in the size of a tennis court, or we can even smaller. So it is different than a helicopter. So when I was becoming a helicopter pilot, one of the problems or issues that I need to remember is that I have less than 2 seconds to lower that collector and get into out of rotation and know where I'm going to land. On the gyroplanes, you get a little more time.
And I have some direct experience with some of the lighter weight helicopters, and you're exactly right. 2 seconds.
Yeah.
If you don't take evasive action within 2 seconds, for the most part, it's game over.
Oh yeah, you're a piano.
Yeah. And Raul, do I detect a slight accent from you? What is your accent? Where did you learn how to speak proper English?
Well, it's a funny story. It doesn't feel like a Spanish accent or that one because in my family, and I speak Spanish, English, and Italian. So it's just a little bit of a mix of all of that.
You're a hybrid.
Yeah, I'm a hybrid.
Okay. But
not electric and fuel.
But and I think that is so refreshing to have that international flair about it. And I really applaud you for all that you do to put into the industry, because you're passionate about it.
Yeah, I really want to make sure that everybody's safe, and that is the reason we're bringing that gyroplane now. It's a brand new gyroplane. It should be here by the end of the year.
This is the cruiser. The
cruiser from Nicky Rotor is all carbon fiber, and if you look at it, we already saw the picture in there. It has a great canopy. And everything is carbon fiber, very light, but at the same time is very robust in that sense. You can fly with the doors on or with the doors off.
I'm going to prefer doors off, primarily here in Florida.
If Florida, yeah.
Because it makes for a nice however, there's some cold days. I've been out flying in some of the mornings. It's really chilly out there.
Yeah, yes.
But how about the speeds? What kind of performance can someone look for as kind of an average as far as?
The average speed is, you can get to 114, and past that one is just a VNE, but that it will be more or less. 100 will be 110, will be comfortable or less. But the average that we use is in between 65 and 100. And remember, we're going slow and low just to see things.
And that's comfortable.
Yeah.
And again, you don't want to, you don't buy and operate and fly a gyro plane for speed.
Yeah, there is no reason for doing that, number one. And number two, because you want to be lower than the regular fixed wing, you want to see things, you're going to slow down. The slower speed on this one is 22 miles an hour. And if you have a lot of wind, of course, you can go even lower than that. They come either with a 915 or the 916 engine, the Rotax.
In Rotax, that's probably the engine of preference and choice.
That is, yeah, everything has been designed for that. Is a proven engine. All the quirky behavior that it has at the beginning when they came out in 2019 with the fuel pumps and everything has been resolved. The issue that we encounter sometimes is not the engine itself, is that whoever is the manufacturer or whoever is the builder didn't follow the instructions from Rotas to do the installation correctly. So you get issues with the engine, fuel, oil pressure, things like that, but it doesn't have anything to do with the engine. It has to do with the installation of the engine.
And it's all about the standards.
Yes.
And you guys have standards just like, when I say you guys, the rotorcraft environment, the community.
Yes.
Your standards are there to be abided by. I mean,
Well, now we're getting the new ones. We're almost finished. I'm working with some of the guys in the industry in the gyroplane, plus the other ones and the other categories, and we're almost finished with the Mosaic standard for the gyroplanes, the SLSA, and they should be out. We're going to submit it by the end of this month, and then the FAA is going to have to do his work and coming back and forth, and they should be then out from the FAA by July, if everything goes according to plan. And then manufacturing the gyroplane should be by the end of the year, beginning of the next one.
And you mentioned something to me as we were warming up for this, and actually I think the program interrupted us in our conversation, but people get in a hurry doing a pre-flight, and maybe it's an old military thing, but fast is dangerous.
Yeah, I always say fast is slow is fast.
And smooth is actually fast. If you
Right.
get into a habit and process of doing your walk around, doing your pre-flight, doing everything that you're supposed to be doing, and there's a reason for that. You're feeling, the tactile feel, that doesn't sound quite right.
Or it doesn't feel right.
Yeah.
So for example, many pilots do not walk the rotor. So
When you say walk the rotor, tell me.
that means you release the rotor brake, release the strap or the holder of the rotor, then you go to the back of the gyroplane, check the blade, and then you grab the blade and walk around 360 degrees with that blade, and you will see the controls because the head will move, the stick will move too, and that will give you an idea that things are moving correctly, smoothly. If you feel something that is kind of a stop or makes a weird noise, or if you're walking and you don't feel the rotation not as smooth, that means something wrong with the bearings.
And
on the rotor
literally,
head.
you're taking the rotor blade and you're checking the pitch.
You're taking to
the
see
pitch
if it
as
has
well.
pitch, because gyroplanes don't have pitch. So you see if it has any movement. That means maybe the rotor is something wrong with the rotor.
Yeah,
then you pull it and push to see if something is loose.
There's
And
some
sometimes-
clearance. There's some clearance here that should not be.
Correct. There are some things that should not be there.
And what does the prudent person do when they find something like that?
Not to fly and check everything out. Take it
Yeah.
apart and see what is wrong with it.
And again, if people get in a hurry and they say, "Well, but I've got to go," well, yeah, Sally's waiting for me at the restaurant, and it's only 30-minute flight. But if the machine's not right,
Don't go flying. If you're flying, you take off and you hear a noise that you had never heard before. Go back to the airport and land.
if you can,
If
at
you
that
can,
point.
otherwise, well, sometimes you're taking off and you hear that noise that you never heard.
Yeah.
Just turn around and land.
And it scares me to death to think about the folks that say, "Well, I think I can make it. This doesn't feel just right. It doesn't sound right, but I think I can make it."
Yeah,
No, that's a bad call.
it is.
You're setting yourself up for failure. And Raul, where can I go to find more information? Because we've just kind of scratched the surface.
Yes,
and
we
the
have.
whole thing was just to introduce you and to let our viewers, particularly the ones that are going for their wings credit, look for the code, by the way,
Right.
for that wings credit. This is just scratching the
surface.
Where does someone go? You're located in Valkyria, I guess.
I'm in Valkyria. We have a lot of different CFIs that I will recommend that you can go to in different places, even in the U.S. And many vendors for the gyroplanes. The gyroplanes are all of the ones in there. They're the old ones I will not talk about, but all the new ones are very good. Unlike anything else that we know, they have idiosyncrasies, which is the same thing that we have on a fixed wing. So there are some gyroplanes that need a lot more training than others because of the way that they are designed. But if you get the training, you get your proficiency, you shouldn't have any problems.
And the power plants learn those rotax. There's some great training there at Sebring with Lockwood.
Yeah, and you even have, if you want to learn more, log on onto the Rotax website, pay the $29, and you can have all the videos about maintenance of every single engine.
I watch every one of them.
Yeah.
Raul, thank you so much for
Thank
your
you.
presence here. And let's do this again sometime. And I want to do it over at Valkyria. Let's
Great.
go flying.
Let's see that, and we can go flying.
Let's do that. Ben Coleman, we'll see you next interview.